In your course, you may find a link to TextAid, and when you click on that link, it will open to this page. Now, I already have the page bookmarked. I suggest that you bookmark this page and put it on your bookmarks toolbar. Now, on this page, when we click on web reading, and you may have these three dots where I clicked, or you may see the entire menu. When you click on web reading, what you want to do is click and drag the bookmarklet up to your navigation bar. Now I already have it and it's located right there. So let's look at what TextAid does for us. First, let's go to our library, and in the library you can upload a document. I have a document already here, so I'm going to open it. With this document, I can choose to select something and click Listen. If I'm on a small device, I've got an awful lot of material over here on the left. So I want to click the Collapse on the left toolbar and the Hide sidebar. Now I have more real estate for what I'm reading. I'm going to open these back up so you can see the commands as we look at them. If I am writing a paper, I have gone to the library, I have found the paper that I wanted in the database, and it's a full text document. I download that document and then I upload it into the library and open the document. The next thing I want to do is go to the database where I was working and copy the citation, whether that be APA, MLA, Chicago, whatever. And once I've copied it, I'm going to click on Annotations and then Text and click on my document somewhere, and I would paste that citation in. Now, I have it on there, so I'm now going to look through this document and I'm going to highlight what I think is important. I think that this first part, A, would be good for the beginning of my paper. So I'm going to use three colors here. Yellow for the thesis area or the start of your paper, blue for how you support what you think about it, and green for your conclusion. So I'm going to use yellow and highlight this first piece of information. Now I see this Higher Ed Opportunity Act public law. That's important to me, so I'm going to highlight that in red. I'm going to go on down to another page. Let's say that in this page I see that increased motivation and motivation toward reading are part of my support. Relieved anxiety and relieved stress are part of my conclusion, and part of my introduction might be increased student outcomes. So I've used several different colors. Now you'll remember I highlighted that Educational Opportunity Act. So I'm now going to go down to my bibliography, works cited, endnotes, depending, and highlight the information on it so that I can get all the information that I need for my information. I now go back and I collect up my highlights by clicking on the three horizontal bars, and I'm going to collect them. And I now have the information. Notice that it is separated by page. So if you are using a particular citation method that requires the exact page number, you have that. It's also separated by the colors that you chose. This means if you don't use it in that, or you find that it's similar in everything and don't need to cite it, you can go over the top of that, but if you do, that's fine. Now, I'm going to bold the name of the article. I'm also going to paste in the citation, because that was the last thing that I did a copy paste on, and then I'm going to bold and italicize it. So this gives me the citation in two places, one on the paper itself and one on the highlights. Now when I go to save, I have the choices of save as, download as a PDF or as a Word, and print. I'm just going to click save, and I'm going to put the highlights into my instructions folder, and I'm going to click Save. Now when I go to my Save As, I have two more options. I can save it to the Google Drive or to my OneDrive. So that's real cool. If I go back over here to my benefits, I can use some tools. And with my tools, I have a screen mask. Screen mask is the same thing as page mask. You scroll up and down, make it larger, smaller. I have a reading ruler. Same thing, it's like a note card. And then I have a talking calculator.
2 times 3 equals 6.
Okay, so those are things that I can do with that particular set of tools. The next thing I want to do is to show you that the Annotations and Highlighter is available when I have a paper or a PDF, but when I am on what's called a new text document, those are not available. Writing assistance is simply letting me choose what I want read out loud as I type, whether that's letters, words, sentences, and do I want to use a word prediction. Now, word prediction just basically gives me a choice of words that TextAid thinks I might be wanting to use. Translation. I can translate this particular document into another language, let's say Canadian French. And I click Translate, and it gives it to me in Canadian French. Now this is using Google Translate. What that means is that it is going by each individual word. So the structure of the sentence may not be correct in French because it was correct in English. I can revert back by clicking on Revert Translation. Our next tool is Image to Text. Now, with Image to Text, you need a picture. Well, I took this picture of my computer screen of a PowerPoint. Now I'm going to convert that to text, and I choose the file, and it's this file right here. I select my language, American English. I'm going to put it in the root folder, and I have to save it as editable text. When I do that, I have to give it a name, and I'm going to call it South Plains. Then down here at the bottom, you see the word Start. When I go to my library, notice it is highlighted in blue. When I click on it, we can see the OCR and we see the original documentation on it. So you see it is the same thing. Now, there is the old GIGO statement, garbage in, garbage out. It also means good in, good out. If you take clear pictures, you will get a good translation. If you take a fuzzy or a lopsided picture, it may not translate as well. So you have to be careful with those. Looking at our settings, we have voice settings, which is simply how fast or slow you want it. You have text settings, which is your color choices. Again, you do have the open dyslexic font. You can also put line spaces in. You have highlight settings, and highlight settings are how things are highlighted as it is being read to you. If you are on a PDF or a Word document, you have document settings. And with document settings, remember you want to say yes, turn the page automatically, so as it is reading it, it will continue to read. In new text, this is your standard Wysiwyg Editor. Wysiwyg means what you see is what you get. The ... gives you some of your basic commands. You have formats, which include your headers, inlines, and blocks, bold, italics, your bullets, your spell check. This is dictation, and you have decrease, increase, font size, your reading speed, and your language. Now, if you're on a small device, you have to collapse down everything to see some of these middle buttons. Let's do and I purposely made some mistakes here. When I highlight this and click listen,
This is a demo form Ginger. She is traveling today.
we hear some problems. We hear form instead of from, and that's a typical typo that when you're rereading your own work, you would think of as being from, and it wouldn't show up in your mind as form. And I heard something else that was wrong over here, so I'm going to do a spell check. And when I do spell check, I see traveling is incorrect. If I left click on it, I can choose the correct spelling. If I listen to it now, I would hear it correctly. So if you take a paper you've written and you paste it in here, then you can pick up the things that are incorrect, such as typos, misspelled words, subject verb disagreements, things like that, and correct them before you go to the tutors. The last thing that I want to show you is dictation. If you have trouble typing, whether it's because you're a hunt and peck typist or you have a disability that affects typing, you can click on dictation. With dictation, you click start. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Click insert, and there it is. So the next thing I would do is make my corrections and make my corrections and add in my grammar. Notice it did not do the grammar for me. I had to do it myself, but it will speed up your typing.